So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Rockers, we should say. So, today we are already halfway in our journey in this ROCK Open Knowledge Week. Yesterday, we had more than 350 people accessing the platform, so that's a great success. And let's take the chance then to create new connections and visit our exhibition area. But stay with us until tomorrow afternoon when this journey will come to an end with a great and touching music performance. So today we started with a video showing one of the flagship initiatives of the city of Bologna. As you saw, it is called the 5 Squares. And it was a week of co-design labs and events that were organized in the 5 main squares along our demo site, which is Via Zamboni. Via Zamboni is the main street right in the university area. And the aim of this initiative was to bring these squares, which are underused or used as parking lots, back to the enjoyment of the city and of its citizens. The initiative involved, as you saw, students, citizens, and associations. And as my colleague Francesco Volta was explaining during the first day, the good news is that one of the squares, Piazza Rossini, from a parking lot has been declared by the City Council as a permanently pedestrian area. So we passed from an experimental and demo action into a permanent intervention. And also this summer, despite the pandemic, the city was able to organize a rich program of cultural events entitled Take Care of You, where U stands for University Area. And unlike previous year, it could be also used Piazza Rossini, also to enhance the temporary lawn that you could see in the video. And an intense program of events, guided tours in the university area, theater readings was offered. But going on with the program today, I would like to welcome with us Cristina Garzillo from ICLEI, who is accompanying us in this journey. So good morning, Cristina. And could you give us a quick summary to all new participants on what happened yesterday?
Good morning. Yes, Pamela, thank you, and welcome to all of you. Yesterday, we heard really interesting initiatives and projects from the ROCK role model cities, Cluj, Athens, Liverpool, Vilnius, and Eindhoven. And we realized that in addition to soft tools, we learned how cities can use sensors and open data systems for better managing their cultural heritage areas and events. It is clear that we need both the soft and the technological, and the issue of digitization of cultural heritage is very high on the agenda, and we will see it also later today. You may have noticed in the lobby area, we have animation videos produced by our graphic designers and facilitators nowhere, which prepared some visual summaries, notes, and animated illustrations, grasping the key messages, ideas, and quotes, which can be taken by the speakers, the presentations, and the conversations that we had. If you were not with us today and you wonder even more what happened, or you would like to have a quick synthesis of the main issues discussed in kind of clear messages, please have a look at this video, which is referring to specifically the second day of the conference. And while the video is running and inspiring you, please write in one word, just in one word, your impressions on the first 2 days of the conference in the chat boxes. We will then collect these words and eventually cluster and use as feedback to complement our reporting. But now let's have a look at the video. So thanks a lot. I mean, we're just warming up, so you can still write your words later during the day. But now let's get ready for this third day of the ROCK Open Knowledge Week. It seems to me that we have almost an all-female line up today. Pamela, who are actually these women that are going to make day 3 so great and so exciting?
Well, actually, Christina, you know, when you projects ask you somewhere in the application form, do you respect gender balance in your project? Well, I think we did not really have this kind of problem in ROCK. And as a matter of fact, our team was mainly composed of women. And this could really raise a good question for our audience. Do you think that cultural heritage is a female topic, or was just maybe a coincidence? I don't know. But by the way, today's focus will be on monitoring tools for heritage areas regeneration, which is a very hot topic of discussion. And we will start by having an overview of the interoperable platform that has been developed by our technological partner Corvallis to collect and share data coming from cities. It is not an easy task to set up a proper monitoring system, as well as it is not always a habit, in particular when it comes to public administrations, to assess the impact of the actions that have been implemented locally. And we will then continue our journey today with Miruna Draghia from our partner company Urba Sofia, who will introduce us to the incredible stories of 2 of our role model cities on the use of sensors for crop monitoring in Turin and on the Urban Heritage Observatory in Lyon. Afterwards, Cécile Hubert from the network Eurocities will lead the campfire session, where we'll know more from the voices of Eric Albarello from Turin and Céline Lyon from Lyon, with the possibility of exchanging views with the audience and answering questions. And later on, Martina Massari and Rossella Roversi, again 2 women here from the University of Bologna, will illustrate how ROCK has passed from a research approach to the elaboration of integrated management plans, which represent themselves the very final ROCK output. But finally, last but not least, the third session, which will start at 11:30, will offer a very inspiring speech by our keynote speaker, Lia Ghilardi, founder and the director of Noema Consulting and City Mapping, which is an organization based in the UK. It is a recognized leader in the field of cultural urban development, working internationally to deliver place mapping and strategic cultural planning projects. So stay tuned until the end and don't miss this exciting speech. So now, let's know more about this interoperable platform developed by our partner Corvallis. As I said before, it is not easy to monitor cities' performance, and this requires the introduction also of organizational changes within the administration, the acquisition of new skills, the definition of an adequate system of indicators, as well as the accessibility and the availability of data and of proper tools supporting cities in the data collection, analysis, and visualization. So let's now see in practice how this platform works with the presentation of Marinella Mai from Corvallis.
Good morning and welcome. I'm really pleased to introduce you in this section of the ROCK monitoring system through the interoperable platform perspective. But what's the interoperable platform? We can define the interoperable platform as a multifunctional environment that makes data generated in the context of the project and other dataset made available by partner cities freely and visible accessible. So the first point is that data loaded into the platform by the partners, are made available as open data. The same data are organized in a semantic component and in a big data component. The application allows the analysis of data collected thanks to dynamic dashboards on the basis of thematics layer. The interoperable platform has also an interactive map to visualize data coming from the semantic layer and an endpoint for queries and download the semantic dataset using SparkQL. From a technical point of view, the interoperable platform is developed using and integrating only open source component. The last point regarding this review is the main objective of the interoperable platform. Through the platform, we not only wanted to make the data available and reusable, but also we wanted to offer the possibility to compare action taken within the ROCK project with other kind of data, like data coming from ROCK tools and sensors. We also wanted to monitor ROCK tools and sensors. We also wanted to monitor and find a possible correlation between different datasets, and this can be done for single cities or for different cities. So how we can access the platform? The platform can be accessed through a web application at the open URL https opendata.project.eu. And the ROCK Analytics platform has three main components. The first one is the document management system that collects data and made them available as open data. Then we got a business layer that aggregate, compare, and try to correlate data to measure the advancement of the project. And then we have a semantic layer that can be accessed through a SparkQL endpoint and a spatial view that allow also to use the linked open data system. So going back and access the platform, we can start with the document management system. The document management system is the first component. I mean, from the document management system, we can users or partner and cities identified by organization can upload their data. Obviously, they have their own credential, and once they are in the system, they can build this a data set and upload some data. Important is to give the proper license, the kind of license they wanted to give to a specific data set. In this way, Creative Commons 0, this kind of data can be freely accessible and reusable. As an external user, I can access the open.rock project EU, and I can have a look to the different data sets and explore them and see if I would like to use it. So maybe I can start with a quick overview and see if I really need this kind of data or not. And then maybe I can choose to download and reuse it in another system or build my own charts. Once the data are uploaded into the data or the document management system, they are part of the data storage, the big data storage. And inside the big data storage, the data are in some way transformed, aggregated, and made available to the analytic layer component. The analytic layer component, from my point of view, is the easiest way to access and monitoring the system for what is related to data uploaded into the platform. The BI layer that is part of the analytics layer component provide business intelligence functionalities. As you can see, this section is related with the dashboard. And as I was saying, provide a rich set of data visualization and also an easy way to interact with this kind of data. You can use straight away to filter associated with a single chart, like drilling some information, and then you can also apply external filter, changing time range in a custom way or in a default way. You can also change the aggregation time, and this is a very intuitive way to access the data and to use it. You can also, of course, export data that are aggregated in this way. Okay, another thing is that you can also create your own charts and using data uploaded into the platform, or integrate some external data, and you can use your own, you can build your own dashboard, and then you can also share this dashboard through email or just with the URL. I would like to go in detail and give you some example of the predefined dashboard. The platform provides some predefined dashboard. You can see here on the left. In order to have a synthetic view of the available data and a more user-friendly way to access, explore, and download the aggregate data. As you can see, I would like to start with the project dashboard. We use in this section, the project dashboard, we use some data coming from Atlas tools inside ROCK project. And we use this data to provide a synthetic view and to compare context and action conducted in the different replicator cities. As you see, if I go to the action, I can, as I showed you before, you can drill down some specific information for the cities or having an overall view. But also you can, maybe you can compare, like in this chart, the audience in a specific cities, just maybe, okay, in this way, so I can have all the view, okay, this way. And going back, I can maybe want to see the audience in the overall action taken in Bologna, and then compared with the audience in Skopje, and maybe having an aggregation based on a month, like this way. A month, like this way. Okay, and if I want to analyze a context, maybe the context in which the ROCK action have taken a place, maybe I would like to see in Bologna the high percentage of contexts were related to historical building, and maybe for another cities like Lisbon, the percentage is shorter than the other one. And another nice view or another nice use of this chart can be comparing cities about data coming from sensors like the crowd analytics figures. And as you can see, you can compare the different cities using this kind of sensors, and or also maybe you can view a single cities or compare with another cities. And inside the same cities, you can explore having an overview of these kind of sensors that are the crowd analytics figure, or you can maybe compare data coming from the environmental, the climate monitoring sensors and the footfall data. Just another minute, I would like to talk to you about the semantic layer. The semantic layer is following the definition of the IDF schema. We choose to use some specific ontology, and specifically we are talking about the sensors and KPI. We provided some predefined queries about this data transformed and uploaded into attribute stores in order to give the users some example. And users can, once they execute a specific query, they can download this data in a JSON format or in a table and reuse it in another system. But we wanted also to give, to show an application of this data. And in the specific, we also transformed in using the KPI ontology data coming from the atlas. And like you can see, you can explore those data in a map, and having some information like the correlation with the action taken in 200 meters. But you can also, as I told at the beginning, following the linked open data, you can surf this data, and you can see inside the same ontology. Following the linked open data, you can surf this data, and you can see inside the same ontology if there are KPIs. In this case, this action has got a stakeholder, or also if there are some correlation with the Wikipedia or other semantic data, you can also have a direct access. So, okay, that's all. I want to thank you for your attention and your time. If you have any question, or if you are interested in the interoperable platform, you can email me, or you can find me at the end of the day in the exhibition section. Thank you again.
So, thank you, Marinella. We have just seen how the platform works and how data can be uploaded and made available to be visualized in an effective and immediate way. You can make comparisons among cities to see how they are performing. But I bet you have questions to pose. So as she said, you can later access the exhibition area and find the platforms booth where you can directly write to Marinella Mai. Moreover, in the exhibition area, you will find some of the tools that have been deployed in ROCK to collect these data. And among these, you will find these tools. You will find our database, ROCKME, for example, which was implemented by the University of ROCK as a tool to narrate and assess the impact of local projects. So, Christina, ROCK has been visionary, I would say, also in terms of data collection, isn't it?
Yes, and indeed we will see this in our next video with the experience of Vilnius, the capital city of Lithuania. We should have all learned it by now. And their experience on the use of sensors spread around the city to reveal the emotional and affective status of the citizens, happiness, boredom, angriness, and how this actually can influence urban planners, maybe also decision makers when designing public spaces. This video will lead you directly to the ROCK CityTalks, moderated by Miruna Draghia from Urba Sofia, where you will find out more about monitoring heritage interventions, specifically in Turin and Lyon. But first, the video of Vilnius.
During ROCK project, Vilnius municipality and Vilnius Gediminas Technical University developed ROCK neuroanalytics systems. These neuroanalytic systems has 5 worldwide innovations. The first worldwide innovation is the system remotely collect a lot of data. Remotely it can be from 5 meters till 200 meters. Second innovation is that the system remotely collect more than 15 emotional, physiological and affective parameters such as happiness, boredom, angriness, breathing rate, heart rate, gender issues, also face temperature. Innovation number 3 is the system already collected more than 500 million data. Fourth innovation is that we received a lot of good correlations with worldwide research. For example, till us was performed a lot of research in Twitter and Facebook, and all this research are very correlated with our 500 million data. And the final innovation, worldwide innovation, that our system can, during real time, present a lot of recommendations for different stakeholders.
The ROCK project has provided an opportunity for Vilnius to understand the importance of emotional health. We don't just track citizens' emotional well-being on the streets. We have already gone much further. We can observe on a map how infrastructural decisions made by politicians affect the mood of the citizens. We can understand how people feel on our renewed beaches. For the second year in a row, we are watching their emotions. All this information is also available on the internet as open data to every resident, and they can choose which beach has a better emotion today. So we will continue the results of the ROCK projects, expanding them into the education sector, environmental improvement, and the city governments.
ROCK project for Vilnius municipality was unique, as unique are the neuroanalytic technologies. The key success factor working with the project was our fruitful cooperation with the Vilnius Gediminas Technical University scientists who are very professional and visionary. Other success factor was the city management, which is based on openness and democracy.
Hello everyone, also from my side. My name is Miruna Dragia and I'm an urban and regional planner at Urba Sofia, which is a Bucharest-based town and territorial planning company. So I welcome you today from Bucharest. I'm a general manager of EU projects and I was also managing ROCK project in particular and been involved in the cities task force from the very beginning, keeping an eye on the implementation process of the 7 role model cities. I am pleased to be the moderator of the second part of this session, focused on the highlights from the from the role model cities actions performed along the almost 4 years of project implementation. So before introducing today's session, let me start with a short recap of yesterday ROCK CityTalks, focused on the other 5 role model cities. Firstly, we have learned how Athens, Cluj-Napoca, and Liverpool combined a series of soft and technological tools for citizens' engagement in culture and heritage. And afterwards, we discovered the stories of Vilnius and Eindhoven about the advanced tools they have used in the context of smart culture and heritage. Also yesterday, we learned that the journey of role model cities in ROCK was not limited only to exporting models or transferring knowledge and practices, but also on upgrading their own models and practices. So again, looking at the diversity of countries and regions from which the role model cities come from, it is quite obvious that we are dealing with different cultures, with different planning traditions, even with different understandings of cultural heritage. And also this leads to different settings of the initial models they have promoted as successful heritage regeneration models in ROCK project. Either we are talking about governance models, financial schemes, participatory approaches, or even their willingness or readiness to implement and contextualize new tools and technologies. And this is especially, let's say, linked with what we have seen in the previous video from Vilnius, that the use of sensitive data, the collection of this sensitive data, it's quite related to the openness of city administrations and city representatives to integrate these kind of tools and technologies in their cities. And we have also learned yesterday from Dalia, from the city municipality of Vilnius, that they have been opened and the cooperation with the university has led to some innovation at local level. So getting back to our session today, we have the last CityTalks centered around the work and iconic actions of role model cities deployed through ROCK project. And we will find out more about the experiences of Turin and Lyon in what concerns tools for monitoring heritage areas regeneration. Again, you will hear that cities will share reflections about the use of technological sensors for monitoring people flow, as in the case of Turin, while Lyon will share its experience in setting up participatory groups to better understand new ways of living in cultural heritage areas. Of course, both cities focused their efforts on specific local heritage sites or even cultural events organized around certain areas in the city. So in this context, they used some monitoring tools to transform and regenerate their urban identities, But this was not only dealing with the historic values or the identity of the city, but also they were focused on tackling new challenges. And here I will also refer to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, and I have to say that it was quite a big impact in the implementation of certain activities in ROCK, since cities were planning to organize some public events, since a lot of cultural operators and cultural institutions have been closed. And we have seen it quite visibly in the crowd monitoring analysis of people flows within the city. But you will find more about this in the next minutes. So let's start now with our first city, Turin, which experienced with these sensors providing data about large crowd flows in the city, giving the opportunity to monitor the number of visitors attending specific places and events, and also to understand the mobility patterns related to both permanent and temporary events and locations in the city. The monitoring process of crowd movements was based on the identification of footfall, mobility patterns, as well as returning visitors between the monitored locations. The city's objective was to understand if those attending temporary events was also visiting the permanent heritage of the city as well. This work has been complemented by developing a local set of data set, actually, of unused and underused buildings and spaces in the city. And I leave you now with Erika Albarello from Turin Municipality to explain more in details the process and results of this monitoring tool, but also the challenges and difficulties faced along the implementation process.
Torino, a city where everything's possible, with a story to find out, and where the beauty of the past coexists with the present of innovation. A city where culture is the driver of projects, events, and spaces. Where you can move and live in many different ways. A city that is a surprise from all points of view. And good to taste at all times. Where it's easy to get lost staring up at the urban architecture, and where you can enjoy traditional and unexpected flavors. A city where having fun sounds natural. This is Torino, a city with endless possibilities.
Good morning. My name is Erika Albarello and I'm a European project manager at the City of Torino. Today I will tell you about the experimentation of ROCK crowd monitoring tools in Torino. But first of all, let me step back for a minute and tell you something more about my city. Well, Torino is a city of about 900,000 inhabitants located in the northwest of Italy. In the 20th century, it was known to be a one-company town because it was actually the hometown to the Fiat car factory. But then what happened? Well, in the 80s, a very severe economic and industrial crisis happened, many factories shut down, a lot of people lost their jobs. So as a consequence, many urban voices remained in the city started to lose population, and there was a general loss of identity. So the public administration decided to lead a participatory strategic planning process to try and find a new vision or mission for the city of Torino. So it was decided jointly that from one company town, the city had to become a city of creativity, culture and knowledge. And most of all, that Torino had to be a point of the on the map, so known worldwide. But how to do so? Well, first of all, a physical urban regeneration process started thanks to very large national and European investments and urban programs from the 90s on. When public funds started to run out, the role of private actors, I just mentioned that two very important bank foundations are located in Torino. Well, the role of private partners became more and more important in these last years. And together with this physical regeneration process addressed to our heritage, cultural heritage, architectural, historical, and so on, to be again, or to be for the first time on the map as Torino and not as Turin, it was decided that we had to host large-scale events. The most important that we can mention is the 2006 Winter Olympics. Well, in the framework of the ROCK project, we were selected as a role model city for this process, or in a way to transfer this process and the knowledge connected to this transformation process to other cities in Europe. But we were also given the opportunity, let's say, to improve our cultural policies and practices. So we decided to focus on a specific question: how can our permanent heritage, physical heritage in the city be linked to the temporary events we have been organizing in these last years? I know that talking about events, large-scale events, is kind of weird in this period, but I will come back to this point later on. So we decided to focus also on these leading questions. So how do visitors move from one event to another? And do main events organized in the city also provide visitors to off events or satellite events taking place maybe in other neighborhoods, not in the city center? And as I was mentioning before, do temporary events provide visitors also to the permanent heritage of the city? And connecting to these three questions, we have one more, that is how can services connected to these temporary events be improved, when, where? So having more specific data on these, both on these events and on how visitors benefit actually of these events. So within ROCK, we had the possibility to test the DFRC provided sensors called LBA Sense, monitoring crowd flows. So we had 20 of them. We decided to place about 10 at permanent heritage sites like museums, royal residences, and other cultural places. And the other half was temporarily placed at some temporary events, such as the Weekend of Contemporary Arts taking place every November in the city, or the International Book Fair. Well, the data that we were able to collect during the experimentation were the number of visitors, the duration of their stay, the returning visitors to the same location, but above all, the visitor mobility between different locations. Well, today I will not tell you about the raw data that we collected. I think this is not very relevant for you now. What might be very relevant for those cities that are willing maybe to test innovative technologies for cultural policies is to know about the critical issues that we actually encountered. So, when you test technologies, the first issue that will for sure happen is technical problems. Of course, they always happen, so it is very important that your team is able to understand these problems, or at least to have a direct dialogue with the service provider. In our case, I must say that we have been very lucky because the experimentation in Torino has been managed completely by the technological department of the local police, which was in constant contact with the FRC, the project partner that really supported us in all the implementation moments. I'm sure many of you are already wondering how we tackled data protection issues. Of course, when we talk about monitoring people, crowds, data protection is a very hot issue. Of course, in our case, data were anonymized, people were informed about the experimentation through visible QR codes in the location. But what I would like to stress is that meeting all these privacy and data protection requirements might take time. You have to work with the data protection officer within your organization. So really, when implementing technology and innovation, this is really a point that should be taken into account. Talking about less technical issues, I would like to share with you the difficulty that we had in engaging the event organizers. As many of you may know, organizing events is always, a rush. People work to organize very big things in a very short time. So also having this experimentation might seem to them to be a further burden. Well, what you have to explain to them is that, of course, the city administration will take care of the whole experimentation, but also that the collected data might be very interesting for them as well. And this lets me introduce to you the last critical issue I would like to talk about, which is that giving feedback on experimental data might be difficult because experimenting means making some tries, which at the beginning might be unsuccessful. So it can happen that you make an experimentation, you make a test during a temporary event, and you realize that the collected data are, for one reason or another, maybe just a technical reason, these data are not reliable. So this is again something that when testing technologies must be taken into account. You must take your time and you must be patient to obtain really reliable and relevant data. So just to sum up and to tell you about just 3 small lessons that we learned during our experimentation. Well, I would like to share with you these really small points, but when you collect data, when you have actual data, this is very important to share with your policymakers, because this gives them the opportunity to plan policies basing on the real life situation in a way. So this, for example, might be very relevant when talking about sustainable tourism. Secondly, well, I was talking about the situation we are living now connecting to large-scale events. Well, when we started the experimentation, yes, we wanted to monitor big crowds. Today, in COVID-19 times, we might want to monitor just the right number of visitors in a place. So it is very interesting to find out that when you start experimenting with one purpose, your tool or your technology you might find out that it is also relevant for further uses or has further implications. Finally, it was very important to us during this experimentation connecting people, professionals from different departments. So, for example, the culture department and the technology department from the local police were able to work together on this experimentation, but also to exchange ideas on further experimentations or actions that they could have done or designed together. So this was really a trigger to start a new collaboration within the city administration. This is all from my side. I thank you very much for your attention, and I will be happy to answer any question you might have. Thank you.
So we will move now a few kilometers away from the city of Turin, landing to the city of Lyon. But before that, I would just like to sum up what Erika has shown in her presentation of this technical side of the monitoring sensors deployed in different heritage areas of the city. So first of all, thank you, Erika, for making this presentation very pleasant and easy to follow, because dealing with data, with a lot of data, with the sensors and correlation between different type of data, this might be a little bit difficult for audience that is not specialized in interpreting and understanding data to follow. So I guess that this presentation has really shown us the way that we can use the data coming from these technical tools and these technical sensors in understanding different patterns and movements in the city, and also correlating these trends, these new changes in the city, or these new transformations of heritage areas in the city to create better policies for our citizens. We will turn now our attention to the results of Lyon's experimentation process, which was, let's say, more in the soft approaches categorized. And they have experienced with a series of participatory group meetings centered around understanding new uses and new ways of living in cultural heritage areas. Specifically, in their case, we are talking about a UNESCO heritage area. During the ROCK implementation process, the main focus of Lyon was on light management issues in connection with renewing the lighting plan and understanding new usages and perceptions of light by citizens at night. But at the same time, Lyon, through the agency Lyon, has developed and applied innovative methodologies for measuring the impact of new usages in touristic areas of UNESCO sites, allowing the strong involvement of citizens. So in the next minute, after you will get a very brief city video to contextualize a little bit the city of Lyon, you will get an overview from Richard Nordier from Lyon Agency about their work performed during ROCK project, thus completing the quantitative part of the Heritage Observatory with a qualitative approach. And I have to say now that the Heritage Observatory has been promoted as a very successful practice by the city of Lyon, and has been an inspiration for other cities in the project. But you will find more about this in the next session. For now, I would leave you with the Turin experience in ROCK project.
You only live once, just once. Life is about making choices every day, every moment, every minute, and every second. Don't give up and free yourself. Go! Forget the halfways, the almost, the in-betweens. Choose not to compromise. Decide to make your own way. prefer to fully live your lives. All of them. Choose only to be. Choose Leo. Only Leo.
Hello, my name is Richard Nordier. I worked as a project manager at Urban Lyon, an urban agency in the metropolis of Lyon. My background is mainly in social sciences and urban planning, and I will now present you an experiment we did in Lyon on the issue of new ways of life as part of the ROCK project.
You have developed an innovative approach. What were the main goals of this project?
In many cities, new ways of life are becoming more and more important. Co-living, home sharing, co-working, and so on. Today, we do not have enough statistics to be able to measure and to analyze these trends. So we wanted to experiment an original approach by using innovative, participatory, and qualitative tools. And the ROCK project gave us this opportunity.
Talking about methodology, which tools did you use and how?
We set up what we called a mixed group, that is to say a group with two different types of participants, inhabitants and professionals. The idea was to help them to communicate and to brainstorm together on the issue of new ways of life and to build with them the methodology that we were going to use through a step-by-step approach.
Concretely, how was it organized?
We were inspired by the design thinking method. The first session was organized as a general presentation of the project and as a selection of the issue of new ways of life. During the second, we tried with the participants to define and to measure this phenomenon. The third session was devoted to a SWOT analysis, and the fourth and fifth sessions were devoted to finding solutions. We worked here with students in anthropology who have carried out a mediation work in the Old Lyon, the historic district of the city.
This project is now ended. Can you make a final assessment of it?
The main interest of this work has been to generate knowledge on the subject of new ways of life. It also allowed different people to have a dialogue and to try to work together on finding solutions. But the one-win duration of the project has been a problem with some participants who didn't have enough time for that. In addition, the subject of the new ways of life was very complex, and we should perhaps have focused on a more specific point.
As a conclusion, what is the main interest of this approach for the city and the stakeholders?
Above all, we have developed a new way of thinking and working on urban problems by involving different stakeholders. We thought out of the box by using a simple and easy method, and we produced useful knowledge. Goodbye. Thank you.
So now that we got a taste from the last two role model cities, I will share with you some general comments about the 3 sessions of the ROCK CityTalks. It has been an extensive program with the stories and the inspiring initiatives and successful practices from the 7 role model cities. Some of them represented an upgraded version of already existent models that were put in place at the beginning of ROCK project. Others are actions resulted from mentoring or transfer of knowledge, a process that has been facilitated along the project implementation by Urba Sofia, of course, together with Eurocities. This type of transfer of knowledge has, of course, been contextualized and adapted to the specific conditions or the traditions and practices from the very local level of each city. And last but not least, we have been dealing with a mix of soft and technological tools for cultural heritage-led regeneration. Either we were talking about tools for the citizens' engagement in culture and heritage, about advanced tools for smart culture and heritage, or about the monitoring tools used in the urban regeneration process, we have seen a very nice and very inspiring stories from these 7 cities. I hope that these stories have been useful for you. I hope that cities managed to answer most of your questions in the chat. Even if you didn't get the chance to, let's say, directly interact with cities during these sessions, don't miss the chance to meet them or ask them questions in the general chat of the conference website, or of course during the one-to-one meetings on the Rock and Roll networking session later on today. So a few words about the next sessions in our program today. I invite you to attend the campfire, which is right after our session. And during the campfire, you will get the possibility to hear more about the exchange process between ROCK cities, of course, centered now on the cities of Turin and Lyon, from which you heard the presentations before. After the campfire, Martina and Rosella from the University of Bologna will guide you through the transition from research, action, research to integrated management plans, where you will better understand how we transformed the scientific and theoretical approach into a practical tool, the integrated management plan for historic city centers or city heritage areas. So about our CityTalks and about our work with cities in general, I can share with you also some final comments or observation from our side as coordinator of the implementation process. So beyond the facilitation of the process and the facilitation of the translation of international knowledge, of international practices, and also scientific approach into something that is more practical at local level, we have also conducted the role of process facilitation or process facilitator among the industrial partners or the technology providers and cities. And again, dealing with collection of data, dealing with this kind of technical tools, sometimes it's quite difficult for cities to understand exactly how to better use or how to integrate this kind of tools in city heritage areas or even in their local practices within the municipality. So I think that from both cities, Turin and Lyon, we have learned today different ways of embracing these new kind of innovative tools in order to collect data, in order to understand the trends of transformation of the city to create better policies. So I remind you now that for connecting to the next session, you have to go to the lobby, access the campfire session from the list, and go there after the break. So thank you all for attending the session. Enjoy the 15 minutes break. It's enough time to get an espresso, stretch a bit, and come back right on time for our campfire adventure. Thank you all again for being here today.